Joining us via Skype from Rome, Newsmax Vatican insider Edward Pentin. Edward, we welcome you back to America's Forum.
Good to be with you, JD.
So, Edward, the news this weekend, somewhat surprising. Pope Francis saying God will give him 2 or 3 more years. Is he talking about his earthly existence, or is he talking about his papacy?
It's a good question. I think in that context, he was talking about how much he thinks he has left on this earth. I think because he talks about going to the house of the Father after 2 or 3 years. But of course, I think he was joking a little with the journalists, obviously, and just a little joking around, and not really. Obviously, he doesn't know himself. And Father Lombardi, the Vatican spokesman, said soon after, that that's no indication of his health. It doesn't mean that he's got anything terminal or anything like that, or any. He said anything in addition to his current ailments. So I think we just need to take it a little bit lightly. It was really just a bit of joking with journalists, really.
And yet, Edward, you were one of those to this Pope's health condition, in the terms of the fact that he only has one lung. Of course, he got back from I would have to think, a very rigorous trip to South Korea, and he is talking about coming to the United States, what, next year?
Yeah, that's right. He has several visits before then, but yes, he's planning to come in September 2015, and he said on the papal plane coming back from Korea that he wants to visit New York, go to the United Nations. He wants to go to DC and address the Congress, and also go to Philadelphia, where there's a World Meeting of Families. So it's something I think he very much wants to do. But the Vatican says we won't know for sure until at least 6 months before September. So there won't be any full confirmation until then.
As you are offering your remarks, we're watching video of the pontiff in St. Peter's Square greeting the crowds, and especially the children. The reporters traveling with the Pope to South Korea also spoke of, at least there was a hint, that the Pope might go into retirement, and earthly retirement. His predecessor, Benedict, did so. Did Pope Benedict perhaps establish a new tradition within the papacy?
Yes, I mean, this is something people are discussing, that obviously for 400 or 500 years there hasn't been a Pope who's resigned. And with modern day healthcare, with people living longer, but not always having all their faculties with them, that the possibility of a Pope resigning is obviously more reasonable to expect. And Pope Francis said something quite interesting on the plane, which hasn't been noticed before, which is that bishops, only 70 years ago, Bishop Emeritus, a former bishop, wasn't known. Bishops used to live until they died as well. So now that bishops have done this, and that they're able to resign, I think Pope Francis sees this as a sort of natural progression, that the popes should be able to resign as well. But it would be quite an interesting situation if he did resign, because you'd have obviously 3 popes in the Vatican, 2 in retirement. And somebody said, well, you might have to open a papal nursing home at some point if you have so many popes retired in the Vatican. But yes, it's certainly a real possibility.
There has been some tragedy in recent days in the Pope's life. What just yesterday, we got news that he had family members perish in a car crash back in Argentina. He is a man of great faith. How then does he continue with his responsibilities amidst that personal loss?
Yes, that's a good point. He said, he mentioned it today. He said at his general audience in St. Peter's that he was obviously very saddened, deeply saddened by the news, but very, very grateful for all the prayers and consolations he's received from all over the world. And so, obviously, as the Pope, he knows, or he strongly believes, that they're in a better place. And I think he's naturally very concerned about his nephew, who's in a critical condition in hospital. He lost his 2 grandnephews and their mother, but his nephew is in critical condition after their accident car accident yesterday.
Edward,
But
unfortunately, we'll
yeah.
have to leave it there. Want to have you back real soon, though, to talk specifically about some other topics with Pope Francis. Thanks for checking in from the Vatican. Now, Dr. Chauncey Crandall with today's health tip.
Hello, I'm back this week with this very important question. Is your doctor taking your blood pressure correctly? You may assume so, but a new study shows you may be wrong. According to this new research, doctors often cut corners when taking blood pressure and record readings that may be much too high. This is important information. First, if your blood pressure reading is wrong, you could be misdiagnosed with high blood pressure and put on powerful drugs for the rest of your life. You could also be denied health insurance, and your job may even be put in jeopardy. This is important information, so pay close attention. Number one, is your doctor using the right size blood pressure cuff? Cuffs come in two different sizes, average and large, but too often only the average size cuff is even used, even on the person with a larger forearm. If the cuff is too tight, the reading will be too high. Number two, is your blood pressure taken in both of your arms? Doctors are taught that this is not mandatory, but it should be. Even a small difference between the two pressure readings can mean you are at great risk of suffering from a stroke or even dying of heart disease. And number three, is your blood pressure taken when you are seated on the examining table with your legs dangling in the air? If so, your reading may be 10 points too high. You should be seated in the chair with your feet on the floor and your legs apart and relaxed. Don't cross your legs at either the knees or the ankles. Remember, if your doctor doesn't take your blood pressure the correct way, you could be putting your health at risk. Many of you already have my book, The Simple Heart Cure. So if you do, you can read all about high blood pressure in Chapter 8. That's my health tip for this week. I'll see you next week with another important Heart Health Minute.
Get your copy of Dr. Crandall's best-selling book, The Simple Heart Cure, for just $4.95 with this special offer. Go to www.simpleheartbook.com to get your copy today. That's simpleheartbook.com.